Welcome back as we proceed to discuss the method of mounting a new wheel. For the purpose of safety, disconnect the power supply from the socket during the mounting procedure. Remove both the outer wheel guards and ensure that all fasteners are kept safely stored. Select a ring spanner to fit the spindle nut. The spindle nut is loosened by holding the wheel and giving the spanner a firm bump. A spindle nut is loosened by turning the nut in the same direction as the normal rotation of the wheel. The wheel is then removed along with the outer flange. The inner flange should be removed for inspection purposes. Inspect both flanges for damage. Also check that each flange is perfectly flat across the wheel mating surface. Never fit a flange that is distorted, which is the result of an over-tightened spindle nut. Inspect both spindle nut and spindle shaft for signs of damage, especially of the threaded areas. New parts should be installed if original parts are in any way damaged. Spindle shaft and threads should be cleaned up to ensure that there will be no hang-up of fitted parts. Upon selection of the new wheel, inspect it for damage as discussed earlier, including a ring test. Ensure that blotters are affixed to both sides of the new wheel. Never fit a wheel without blotters. Check that the flanges are of such a diameter that they make contact only on the blotters. Flanges must fully contact the blotters, and both flanges must be at least 1/3 the diameter of the wheel. Set the tool rest back to accommodate the new wheel, then assemble the wheel onto the spindle, the inner flange first. Ensure that the wheel slips easily onto the spindle shaft. Sometimes reducing bushings are required in order that a wheel may be fitted onto non-standard spindles. Reducing bushes can be supplied on request by your abrasive dealer. It is important that the bushings do not protrude on either side of the wheel. If a wheel does not slip easily onto the spindle, never try and force it. Stop fitting it and check the reason why. Check that the wheel's spindle hole diameter matches that of your particular machine. Once again, we wish to emphasize that a wheel should never ever be forced by striking or pressing onto the spindle. Severe wheel damage and a bad accident will result. When the wheel is properly slipped onto the spindle, the outer flange and spindle nut may be installed loosely. To correctly secure a wheel, turn the spindle nut in the direction opposite to the direction of normal wheel rotation. The wheel is held by hand as you carefully tighten the nut. Do not over-tighten. The nut is sufficiently tightened once the flanges have made contact with the blotter and the wheel cannot slide between the flanges. The wheel is next rotated by hand to ensure that it runs true. It must not wobble from side to side, nor should it run off-center. If a wheel does not run true, report the matter to your supervisor. Do not leave it. Replace the wheel guards securely once the wheel has been checked for true running. Next, connect the power supply and, standing to the side of the machine, switch on and allow the machine to run for 1 minute. Ensure that nobody around you stands in line with the wheel during this period. Switch off after 1 minute and allow the machine to come to a stop by itself. With the machine stopped, set the tool rest gap to a maximum setting of 3 millimeters. It must be clearly understood that industrial safety regulations prohibit any person from replacing a grinding wheel unless he or she has been properly instructed and rated competent. This means that they have been trained. After the break, we shall discuss wheel dressing and truing.